80 for Brady is a film that's apparently loosely based on true events, and from everything I've gathered, loosely is extremely prevalent to this whole film. Now, I don't really know anything about the true events that inspired this film. I don't really give a shit about sports ball. If I did, it would be NCAA. But as for NFL and all of that, I don't really care. Now, the film itself is about a group of four friends that are way older women between their 70s to 80s, and they spent the last 16 years of their lives together randomly stumbling on football one day, and then 16 years later, they're Patriots fans, Tom Brady lovers, they're just obsessed with it. Basically, that was their old age quirk, which is fine because, I mean, it's an innocent thing to take up, just kind of watching football as you're in your elder ages, and that's fine. Tom Brady is also in an appearance in this film many times, honestly. Although, for it being called 80 for Brady, I wouldn't exactly say that he's the show of this film, because he is in this film many times, but he's not really in it as often as you would expect him to be. This film is literally centered around the four friends getting free tickets to one of the Super Bowls that the Patriots attended to play in. And honestly, my simple synopsis on describing this film, to put point blank, I'd say this is a very mild Superbad for older people. And to me, that's probably the most accurate way to describe this film. This film's PG-13, and it really does not try to do much to raise the bar in any vulgar sense or anything. And honestly, that's a good thing, because most films are just dwelled in such vulgarity nowadays. I think, honestly, it came from the likes of The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Superbad, Knocked Up. Ever since then, it's like every single comedic film had to be not just those kind of films, but always try to one-up the vulgarity, even if it never really made sense to the story itself. In 80 for Brady, this is a very tame Superbad for older people. There is one F word in this film, and it's at the very end, but to be fair, honestly, most of this film, in its hour and 30-minute runtime, there's barely any swearing. Honestly, I picked up maybe hell, ass, maybe shit once per word in this entire stretch of the film, other than the F word. But otherwise, this is an extremely good film in the sense of speech morality, if that's even a term. Now, my personal opinion on this film, I love Superbad, and yes, I stand ground and say that this is comparable to Superbad because of the events that transpire in this film. And with that being said, I did enjoy this film. The performances weren't really very standout, but nobody was terrible in acting. Even Tom Brady, he did a decent job, and he's not even an actor. Everybody did their job. But at the same time, there isn't really much that they did in this film acting-wise. Now, there are some scenes where they do make you empathize and sympathize, and that's good acting, but I wouldn't really say that there was any standout scenes for acting. I think they just read into the scene and they gave it what they just needed to, and that's fine. Like I said, there's no terrible acting in this film, and this film is frequently and often funny. I'm not going to say it's hilarious, but it is often very funny, especially with how G-rated it actually feels. There are many sexual references, but they're not, like I said, vulgar in the sense. They kind of use sexual terminologies, but in normal comedic ways that aren't really unintended for children to be able to watch this film. Honestly, kids could watch this film, hear the sex jokes, and not even think about them. That's honestly how innocent this film tries to be. And it succeeds in that. Now, the story, for me, I think it was very fine. It was okay. For a Thursday afternoon watch, I enjoyed my time watching it. The only major gripe I had with this film was more so the pacing. For an hour and 30 minutes, this film felt at least 2 hours long. It's slow. It fucking drags bad. Like I said, it's an hour and 30 minutes, and it feels like at the very, very least a 2-hour film. Maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's how bad the pacing is in this film. But the best part about this film, hands down, I would have to say, is the written dialogue. Now, to compare and explain, when I talk about written dialogue, the number one story and writing that comes to my mind for comparison is the TV show Justified. That has the most crisp dialogue I have ever heard in any kind of cinematic experience ever. Fortunately, I can honestly say in 80 for Brady, the dialogue is very well written. It's very charismatic. It works well for all the actors and actresses, for their characters. The writing for the dialogue for every character just works phenomenally in this film. There isn't really anything terribly wrong with this film except the pacing. I think, though, there isn't really much they could do about that just because of the story of it. It doesn't really come down to the editing or the scoring or anything like that. I think it just more so has to do with just the overall story in the film. And because of that, you're either going to walk in, sit down, watch it, enjoy your time, walk in, sit down, and hate it. I don't believe there's a middle ground for this film. And for me, I enjoyed it. It's not great because of the pacing, but if the pacing weren't so lackluster and slow, honestly, I would have really, really enjoyed my time through this film. But overall for me, I'd have to say 80 for Brady is a 7 out of 10 because it's just not terrible. It's actually pretty entertaining. I enjoyed all of the characters and I enjoyed the acting in it, even from Tom Brady. It all just fit well for its own self-contained story. So, 80 for Brady, 7 out of 10. Thank you. If you like this video, please feel free to join my membership plan on here. It will greatly help me in the future. Thank you.